We'll get through the dinner portion of, how exactly this happened, what went down. So this is how you get in contact, the three of you. How is it that Nick ends up invited to this dinner, and what happened?
Well, I just got to go right to the heart of this anti-Semite claim that's happening.
Oh my God!
We're getting right into it, I guess, right? I was hoping to go for the news first before we got into all of this stuff.
If you read the definition, it says you can't claim there's multiple people inside of banks or in media that are all Jewish or you're anti-Semitic. Ron Emanuel was right next to Obama, and then Jared Kushner was right next to Trump. Ta-da!
But
I think the construct of race has really been forced upon us as just something for us to be woke about and just constantly talk about and use it as these like walls.
Couldn't you say the same thing about Judaism?
To come in here, I feel like it's a setup to be like defending. I'm not going to go through another, I'm literally going to walk the F off the show. Walk the F off the show. If I'm sitting up here having a, talk about, you can't say that it was Jewish people that did it when every sensible person knows that. I mean, Jon Stewart knows what happened to me, and they took it too far. With the last of my money that's available in a different account, I'm going to order a PJ before I sit and have another Lex Friedman setup conversation when I'm literally they're trying to put me in jail for my opinion.
Yeah. I think they've been extremely unfair to you.
Who is they, though? We can't say who they is,
corporate
can we?
press. I'm not using I don't use the word as the way I guess you guys use. I'm talking about.
It is them, though, isn't it? I mean,
Shut up. Sweet Davy Jones. What the heck is going on?
Because because when you think about it, consider it. In 2018.
What do you mean it's not?
What do I mean? Okay, so how about? Are you leaving?
Are you referring to the press?
He's gone.
Yes, it's done.
Well. I think we were all a little surprised last night as Tim Pool pulled probably the biggest guest he's ever had by, I don't know, miles and miles. I suppose you could say Alex is also pretty famous / infamous. But first and foremost, there are a lot of people talking about platforming this guy. I understand the inclination there. For me, I still feel like he's in some sort of episode, but I'm not a doctor and I can't prove that. I think I'm just kind of looking for some sort of explanation as to what's going on with Kanye West. It's just like a couple summers ago where he had this episode. I'm not a doctor. I don't know how long these manic episodes are supposed to last. I didn't know they lasted weeks or months. Maybe they don't. Maybe it's just me trying to give the guy an excuse for, torpedoing his entire career. These are choices that Kanye West is making, absolutely. And so I don't want to shirk any responsibility for that. But last night he appeared on Tim Pool's Timcast IRL to about 100,000 live viewers. I think some people are sending me screenshots. I had no idea that he was going to be there. And it did not go well. I think that Ye wanted to just go on a platform and say what he wanted to say and not be questioned. I think that, Tim is a skilled conversator, but not one of the best interviewers. So I don't think that Kanye is used to being kind of challenged and a part of a conversation. He's more used to speaking his opinion or thoughts. So it was a recipe for disaster, of course. And on the way out the door, he took something of Timmy's. Several things of Timmy's. And we're going to get into all that right now. So there's a lot of accounts of exactly what happened. Many people have seen the clip, right? Essentially, Ye wanted to, you know what? I don't even want to speak for him. Okay, I'll show you the clip because it's short. Essentially, hit breaking. Kanye storms off the set of Timcast because Tim Pool would not say who, quote, they are when referencing Jewish people. If Kanye cannot negotiate a friendly conversation with Tim Pool, who is only half Korean, how does he plan to negotiate peace talks with Kim Jong-un?
Who is they, though? We can't say who they is,
corporate
can we?
press.
So what, I mean, I don't care what anybody says. I know that, like, I read the comments. I know there are a lot of people who are, maybe they understand what Kanye is saying in a more nuanced perspective. But, in general, I don't think it's a good idea to group a lot of people together and paint them in any light, good or bad. And what Kanye is clearly saying here is he's talking about Jewish people and using they. They control everything. They ruined my career. They did not ruin Kanye West's career. Kanye West did that, okay? If that makes you uncomfortable, then you don't like personal responsibility, all right? Now, here's the thing. He continues.
I don't use the word as the way I guess you guys use. I'm talking.
It is.
On the set right now is Nick Fuentes, Milo Yiannopoulos, who, by the way, had his messages leaked yesterday where he was saying all sorts of things about Kanye West. Milo is, I respect his grift, but, only a week ago or so, he was on Tim Pool's show praising Donald Trump. Then he had his DM messages leaked by, I think, Laura Loomer. And he was talking all sorts of junk about Trump and saying that Kanye West is gay and all this kind of stuff. Like, I don't know what, I mean, in my opinion, Kanye West is clearly being taken advantage of by probably everybody in his life. So in the room, they keep saying they, and this is like maybe the slightest pushback Tim could give. Like, hey, I'm not using, when I say they, I'm talking about mainstream media. I'm talking about Silicon Valley. I'm talking about, whatever the case. And so essentially Kanye gets mad that Tim explains that he's not saying they and talking about Jewish people.
It's them though, isn't it? I mean, because
No.
And look at, Nick is smiling when he says this. Like, it's all a shtick for him. I find it hard to believe anyone is this clown shoes. Maybe he's well read on history and stuff like that. You can give it to him, but it's like, if you can't smile, if you can't say this with conviction, he's smiling when he says it. It's like, this dude is ruining Kanye West's career by, it's just so
weird.
I mean, no, Kanye West is doing that, to be clear.
It's them though, isn't it? I mean, because because when you think about it, consider it. In 2018.
What do you mean it's not?
What do I mean? Okay, so how about? Are you leaving?
I wonder if Tim thought maybe he was going to go after him here, because I've been in that studio. Unless Tim is sitting in a different spot, this is not actually the way out the door. So maybe they changed it.
Refer to the press.
He's gone. I think.
Who is they, though? We can't say who they is,
corporate
can we?
press. I'm not using I don't use the word as the.
So that's it. That's the pushback, right? Now, a lot of people said, Kanye West pushed back or whatever. You say Viva Frey here saying, if Kanye West thinks, quote, they were exploiting him, just wait until he realizes about the two he's hanging out with now. Kanye is indeed being exploited from every angle, and most importantly, by his present company. Timcast, you did good. He was looking to make a scene, as was his entourage.
But the thing is, when I said my children, the reason why my brain kind of blocked, because it's like God is saying, your children are going to be okay. Baby mama's got money, right? God is using me. He's breaking me down, removing all of the, richest person, all of this, so I can serve him. And
maybe that's true.
More and more those things are taken away from me, the more I can be empty and be a vessel and be able to be used. And right now it's like, you're not going to take, if we can't, you're not going to take my pain away, right? The Jewish people say, it's the Holocaust, this happened, and you can't say anything about it. We can't take their pain away. No one's going to denounce the fact that they tried to lock me up. That's what, because every time I'm just holding stride.
So again, when he says they, he means Jewish people. I don't have any problem with calling out people by directly, but he's not calling anybody out specifically. He's just saying Jewish people, okay? And like, I think that it's the same thing as calling out white people or black people or this and that. Now, it's definitely treated differently in society, but to me, it's just as wrong. Now, are there specific people that he wants to call out who are corrupt? I think that's fine. You see a lot of people in the comments. Tim Pool has been exploiting conservatives for a while now for clicks. I find it funny he built up a following using click words and gaslighting. I bet you dollars to donuts he didn't vote in the midterm. Ever see him in the community doing outreach? Nope, just on his mic. Actually, I don't know. I mean, I voted in the midterm. But there are people who say, you know, I didn't think Tim did well at all. That said, neither did Ye. The other two, I just ignored. The whole show was a mess of mediocrity and noise. And that's probably true. That's probably true. But again, I don't think I think Tim is a conversator. I don't necessarily think he's like a skilled interviewer. And Ye is not used to being on the same level with the plebs he's talking to. And so it was definitely a recipe for disaster. Now, this is written by somebody who was actually there, Amber Athey, in the studio with Ye on Pool's podcast. Ye is not in Calabasas anymore. The superstar rapper, designer, and now 2024 presidential candidate flew to Western Maryland on Monday alongside his new campaign manager, the right-wing provocateur, Milo Yiannopoulos, and the de facto leader of the Groyper Army, Nick Fuentes. The trio landed at Frederick Municipal Airport, only to find that their driver was nowhere to be found. The limo company had accidentally sent him to Washington Dulles, is that a different airport? Anyway, Pool offered me some barbecue and then some Virginia mead. I sipped on the syrupy stuff while psychoanalyzing the photo Pool posted of Ye on Twitter. Tim writes, this is probably, I mean, you should read her entire article. I'm just going to show some of the part of the things. This is probably going to be one of the biggest shows I've ever done. And it's going to get us in trouble, and it opens up a whole bunch of risk. But like the entire news cycle over the past week and a half is going on with Trump and these guys, and we got an opportunity to be like, hey, we're going to have these questions answered, Pool told me. Am I going to wag the finger of the moment at him, or are we going to try and understand what's going on behind the scenes? And that's the challenge, he continued. Do I make this an opportunity to virtue signal about how much I despise their views, or do I say, look, I don't agree with what you said. I think it's awful, in fact, but we're here to learn about what's going on. Well, I think the secondary one is really what you should do. Timcast staff did have a backup plan if YouTube decided to nuke the live stream, air it on Twitter. With Elon Musk purchasing the social media app, they felt confident they could continue to stream there. Anyway, Ye and his entourage finally arrived. Ye was offered a snack by the co-host Luke Rudkowski and chose a popsicle. Yiannopoulos wore a tweed jacket with the A24 emblazoned on the back. Blah, 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 blah. Ye arrived in the studio. I went up, sat in my designated chair. He looked up and stared at me suspiciously. I stood up and introduced myself, shook his hand, and said that I was with the spectator and I'd be sitting in on the session. He pointed to a chair at the table and said, "You're sitting right here, right?" I said, "I can, if that's what you prefer." The other members of the Timcast team noted that all of the seats at the table were accounted for, and Ye said that he'd prefer only people around the table be present. He gave me a sort of half smile and explained that he doesn't like to be surrounded by people. That's fair. Tim gave me an apologetic look. I said I understood, and it was nice to meet him. And then I went downstairs to watch with Tim's friends and stuff. Oh, he kicked him out. Ye was firm but polite. He seemed like he didn't want to be bothered. Poole started the show by asking Ye about his recent dinner with Trump. Ye explained how a number of other canceled commentators had gotten in touch with him after his DEFCON 3 tweet. Ye revealed that Alex Jones's producer had connected with Milo, who had in turn brought Fuentes into the fold. Unfortunately, it did not take long for Ye to launch into a diatribe about Jewish people controlling politics and the media. Rahm Emanuel was next to Obama and Jared Kushner, and right next to Trump, he stressed. Poole pushed back respectfully, but Ye threatened to leave the show on 2 separate occasions before finally walking out about the 20-minute mark. I was sitting in the basement. I could hear doors slamming upstairs. When I went up to the kitchen, Ye was gleefully holding court. He seemed in better spirits than he had been the entire night, perhaps because the pressure of the program was off. One of the show's regulars, Hannah Claire Brimolo, was telling Ye that she'd wished he had more time to share his views because people needed to hear them. Eventually, Yiannopoulos confirmed that the car they had ordered. Ye grabbed several Simple Mills brand nut butter stuffed sandwiches, cookies off the kitchen counter, and he munched on them on his way out the door. He smiled and said goodbye to the crowd of people waving him out. After a few minutes, the car finally pulled away. The staff seemed torn on how to feel about the entire encounter. Some thought Poole had pressed too hard on Ye too early in the interview. Others thought Ye was being a baby. Overall, they seemed disappointed that he didn't stay longer and have a real full-throated discussion. Poole recounted Yiannopoulos' previous appearance on the show and wondered aloud if Yiannopoulos was deploying Ye to sabotage Trump for revenge. I believe that's true. This evening, the only presidential campaign Ye seemed interested in was sabotaging his own. And that was, you see the cookies, the cookie gate. Here you see Amber. Ye grabbed a handful of these cookies before he left the Timcast, a snack for the road. Nut butter stuffed cocoa cashew cream. Sounds pretty good, actually. Probably some good taste. I wish that Ye had stayed longer. I wish that, but look, it's Tim's channel. He can't let the guy just be like, nonstop noticing on his stream. He's going to get flagged off of YouTube. It's, YouTube doesn't play. Maybe, Tim could have given him a little bit, more leeway to just ask him questions, but it was very clear that Kanye West was not there to explain why he felt the way he did about a certain group of people. And once it became clear that they were not going to let him continue to say that, he left. That's his right. He didn't make a big scene. He didn't tip the table over. He left, from what I can tell, respectfully. It'll be interesting to see the fallout from this. All I know is that I'm sure Tim will get a lot of press, so I'm happy for him. I think Tim did about the best he could do given the situation. And I kind of hope this is the end of the circus and Republicans can get back focused on fixing the party and getting in lockstep for the 2024 election, because they're going to need all hands on deck to beat the Democrats. I hope you enjoyed this video. If you did, please do make sure you leave a like on it. We'll talk to you again real soon.